it. Okay, so we've been on this kick with clients over the last I don't know, a couple of months or so, where we're having some clients that are coming in that are progressing and excelling through their training process, right? And then, because the training is in such a great place, we're hitting a point where we could then take our extra time we have in our program and focus on more like fulfillment or enrichment related things with the dog, right? I think in many training programs, we get too hung up on the training, right? The training is very important, but long term, the training serves the purpose of being able to go do other things with your dog and provide an enriching and a fulfilling life to them. And I would say over the last couple of months, we've been really trying to speak more about that into the ethos, right? And I think a part of that is coming from just this wave of stuff I'm seeing online. And I tried to find the video so bad, but I couldn't find it. This wave of stuff I've been seeing of trainers talking about like long-term things that they do with their dogs and things that I just completely disagree with, right? So one, for example, and this is the video I wanted to try to pull up, was I saw a video on Instagram a couple of days ago by a trainer. I don't remember who it was. I don't know how large of a following this person has. I don't know anything about this individual. But basically what they said is your dog should never free roam in the house.
What?
Right? So, and then in the caption, basically it got into her, even this trainer with her personal dogs never, ever, ever allows her dog to free roam in the house. Free roaming meaning do anything other than be engaged in a command at all times.
What?
Right? So in it further, she said, she enforces. I could be mistaken by the exact number on this, but I think it was in the neighborhood of 18 to 19 hours of crate time per day with her dog. And that is forever, she said in it, right? Forever and ever till the end of time. And this is what she was encouraging her clients to do. And that if they're out of the crate in the home, they are actively engaged in a bed stay, working on calm duration work, right? And just first off, just think about that for a minute, right? We're talking almost every waking minute of this dog's life, they are not allowed to move around, right? And let me give you the perspective of things coming from what I assume to be this individual's perspective on stuff, is that when their dog is not engaged in those types of commands, their dog is actively making a lot of mistakes. They're getting into things they're not supposed to. They're pacing around, endlessly. They're being disruptive. They're getting into stuff. They're barking out the window, right? They're having accidents in the house, whatever it may be, right? And they're utilizing obedience commands or management in the form of confinement in order to stop the dog from rehearsing those things. Now, with young dogs, with puppies, obviously, that's a very smart thing to do initially to prevent the dog from rehearsing the ability to do those things and to block some of those types of patterns. But, and this is where we did a whole video on like a post we made one time that kind of caught a little bit of heat of Michelle saying like a similar thing about puppies, right? But we were exclusively talking about like 8-week-old to 16-week-old puppies and doing that in a very short period of time while incrementally putting them in scenarios to then address those bad habits so we can give the dog more freedom and more free roaming time later on. Yeah. Right? It's not a forever thing. And
that's wild.
Many trainers that I see find themselves in this trap of relying on those things forever because they don't know how to actually stop the problem behaviors. And on top of that, they don't understand how doing that forever and ever can cause long-term problems from the standpoint of keeping your dogs constantly cooped up and constantly restrained. So anytime you release them, all of the anticipation of, oh my God, I never get to be free in the house. So I'm just going to go balls to the walls, checking everything out, being all fucking energetic and crazy and stuff like that. Right? That it is going to be really unmanageable initially. But the more freedom you give them and the more free roaming time that you give them and the more you communicate specifically, not do this, do this, do this, do this, so you don't do other behaviors, but don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. And then the dog learns to make better decisions on their own, the more well-balanced your dog ultimately becomes. I said this, I think 2 podcasts ago. All of my dogs are free roaming upstairs right now.
Yeah.
Right? We're doing this podcast. We're down here. Nobody else is home. And they are all free roaming upstairs. And there are fucking 4 of them. And they're fine. Right? Like, listen, do we hear any tip-tapping around, pacing, barking out the window, getting into shit? I don't hear it right now. Right? No. Now, why is that the case? Is it because they're all in downstays and they're all in bed stays? Absolutely not. It's because it's not a novel thing to them. They're free to make their own choices virtually all the time. And all my job in that equation is to teach them which of those decisions are appropriate and which of them aren't appropriate. And then over time, my dogs are getting a little bit older now. They're all in the, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 range. Yep. Over time, I give them more freedom and I can trust them more when I'm not supervising because they've shown me that they can make proper choices when they're free, right? And I don't think people realize like the harmony you can achieve with your dog if you start looking at things from that perspective and less from the perspective of just manage and contain all the time, right? Yeah. You got anything to say on that? I need a breath break.
Well, first of all, so this lady's saying that you should do that for the entirety of the dog's life that you have it. I mean, that's fucking crazy, dude. Like, what's the point of even having an animal if you're just creating it, you know, 17 hours a day?
I completely agree with you. Now, I will give her also the benefit of the doubt of she did talk about in it going out and doing things with your dog to provide like stimulus and engagement and stuff like that. But like, I'm sorry, like 2 hours of training per day and then the remainder of their day doing absolutely nothing in the house and having absolutely no freedoms is terrible. I mean, that just sounds horrible, right?
Yeah. Like if you did, like if you just put that in a human aspect, if you put somebody in a padded cell for like 2 days, they go crazy.
Sure,
you know, and there's no stimulus.
Yeah, and I try not to equate it to humans too much with this particular stuff, only because of the fact that like dogs do sleep like twice as long as humans do, like, per day, right? They don't need quite as much engagement and stimulus as humans. You know what I mean? Like, so it's a little bit different, but at the same time, there's still animals that want to like
do something,
right? And she was trying to justify like, oh, if you're having your dog in a bed stay for 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever it may be, like you're providing so much mental stimulation and it's helping them and this and that. And though I agree that mental stimulation in the form of working is important, like mental stimulation without physical stimulation is equally bad. You know, physical stimulation without mental stimulation is bad, but mental stimulation without physical stimulation is just as bad. You have to balance it out.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? And, as I was, thinking about this, like I ironically had a lesson a couple days ago that highlighted exactly this, right?
Okay.
So we have a client that lives over on the east side of Cleveland, and they have a young German Shepherd, right? And he's a rambunctious boy, right? He's like a year and a half at this point. He's very puppy still, good dog, right? Great training. She's really on top of him. Like she's not having like quote unquote issues with him, right? But we did a brush up lesson with this dog and I went to go see him and he did fantastic when we went in the house. He held his bed stay when we came in, right? Like, he did great on his walk, but he was like, the whole time though, she was like, I was like, well, where's your issue? She's like, well, I feel bad because like he's not really doing anything wrong, but like, he kind of just like has so much energy all the time and he is kind of pacing around the house constantly and like out on the walks, like he doesn't really break his command that often, but like he's really just like kind of tightly wound while on the walk and stuff like that. So we start kind of putting him through the paces and I'm asking questions and turns out she was kind of doing exactly what this woman had said, which is like he's crated a lot in the house. When he's out of the house, they're using bed stays a lot to stop him from like tripping them when they go up and down the stairs or like things like that, right? But like again, he's not doing anything wrong, but like his energy level is just like a little bit too high, right? So she's using a ton of bed stays and he's holding these bed stays for virtually all the time in the house, like all day long, right? Out on the walk, she's taking him for walks every single day and sometimes multiple walks per day. And she's providing everything that like most trainers out there say you should be providing for these dogs. But she wasn't providing any true physical stimulation to help him alleviate some of this young German Shepherd energy.
Yeah.
Right? So it's funny. So like we did this session, we're like 45 minutes into it, and he's acing all the tests, but I could just see how tightly wound he is. You know what I mean? And I'm like looking at her, and it was ironically the day of that freaking blizzard we had. Like,
oh, of course.
I think it was Monday.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was Monday.
Okay.
And you know, I'm like, you guys got like a field around here or something like that? She's like, yeah, you know, there's one right around the corner. I was like, all right, let's go walk to it, you know? So we walk around the corner to this field, and it's all fucking muddy and gross and shit. And I'm like, you cool with him like going and like playing around in this? She's like, yeah, whatever. I got to give him a bath later anyways, right?
Okay.
So we unclip his leash, and she just tells him okay. And I'm telling you, the second that she said okay, this dog was tearing ass in fucking, you know, when dogs do that like butt like tucked in, tail like tucked under, like fucking like bananas crazy run
for sure.
And this dog did that, and he's just fucking going in circles around us. And I'm telling you, for like 10 to 15 minutes, this dog just tore ass in circles, not even chasing anything or trying to run towards something or running away from anything, just tearing ass in circles for like 15 minutes. And I just looked at her. I was like, this is what this fucking dog needs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've done all of the hard work up until this point with the trick. Is that the cat? Turk, I hear you on the camera. You hear that?
Yeah.
This guy. Here, hold on.
Hold on. We have a cat intervention right now. Oh. Oh, special guest real quick.
Special guest. Oh, your paws are really wet. Okay, you can stay right. Nope, don't go away. Stay right here. Christmas cat. Can you see him in the video? I think you probably can.
I'm sure you can. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, this is Turk. Everybody say hi to Turk. He's going to run away in a second. Are you going to stay? Or are you going to run away? You stay right there. Okay, so make sure you don't get the side roll.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so I was like, this is what this dog needs. I was like, you have put in all of the hard work and all of the training, and you've just busted your ass with this dog to make sure you can keep him under control when you need to keep him under control. You've checked that box. As soon as you check that box with your dog, your next step is then taking that training, pushing it to the side temporarily, and allowing the dog to be a dog with the confidence that if you need to get him back under control, you've put in the hard work to ensure that you can do so. Right?
Yeah.
And when you hit that point with your dog, oh my God, I don't think you can imagine how great of a relationship you could start to have with them. Because here's the thing, right? He walks fine with her, right? So I told her, I was like, if you've got 30 minutes to like go out and go for a walk with this dog, at this point, this dog will benefit more from 30 minutes of what we're doing right now with like 5 minutes of walking to and from versus a 30-minute just heel where he's not burning off any of that physical stimulation at that point, right?
Yeah,
and it was so interesting too, because like we did the walk, right? And ironically, right before the walk, like we off-leash heeled this dog through the whole neighborhood. Like it's not like we were just like leash walking him. Like this dog is fucking trained, right? And then we let him just tear ass for like 15 minutes, and then we off-leash heeled him back to her house, and he literally, like the walk, you could see it in his body, right? Just how much, right? Like he just got it out of his system.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it really is like, it's one of the most beautiful things to see when you see a dog both mentally stimulated and challenged, but also physically stimulated and challenged. And then you could see how you've achieved both boxes, and they just look so happy after that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I don't think enough trainers are talking about providing that side of things to the dog as well. And I don't think we've done a good enough job of talking about that side of things as well up until this point, which is why I'm really trying to drill this point home.